My boyfriend lied about political beliefs for 6 months. Can we make it work? My boyfriend has been lying about his political beliefs for 6 months. My boyfriend has been hiding/lying about his political beliefs for the last 6 months. Can I tolerate/raise kids with someone with his political beliefs? Does he even like me if our beliefs are so different? Can I still like him despite his beliefs and the lying? I feel like my entire world has been flipped upside down and I don't know what to do. I'm not religious, my sense of right and wrong doesn't come from a Bible, but this feels like the equivalent of knowing I'd only date a Christian and telling me he doesn't believe in Jesus after 6 months of pretending. We did everything right in the relationship. Dated exclusively and got to know each other for a few months before having intimate. Spent nights staying up late asking serious questions to get to know each other. They're like the science-backed 36 questions. We did quizzes and made sure we were really compatible and talked to our therapists for advice. We're also both sober, so there were no beer goggles clouding our judgments. Dates were often long walks or drives where we never even turned on the radio. Talking came so easy and I wasn't afraid to open up to him. He always said the same about me. We both had some dark times in our past, but we were open and honest about everything. I felt fully known, understood, and accepted. When my dad quickly got sick and passed away after just 3 months together, he flew across the country with me, never leaving my side. He helped lift my dad while on hospice, took care of trash and dishes, made sure my family and visitors had food, did grocery runs, forced me to eat and take short walks, helped prepare our home for the service the night he passed without being asked or voicing a single complaint, frustration, or need for thank yous. He let me grieve without judgment, whether I was sad or angry or any range of emotions. I couldn't have asked for anything more, and my entire family still talks about how grateful they were to have him there. I've always felt like he would do anything for me, and that's still true to this day. He loves me with everything he has. He shows up with my favorite Starbucks or flowers or sweet loving cards. He stocks his fridge with my favorite snacks when I'm coming over. He regularly brings me around his family who have taken me in as their own. We make serious plans and timelines about getting married and having kids, share the same religious views, and is everything I've ever wanted. He's smart, and kind, and treats everyone with equal respect. He lives life with integrity, gives great advice and never judges me for my mistakes or poor choices. He has strong family values and relationships with them. He indulges my Taylor Swift obsession. He's loyal, loving, and caring, and until last week I loved the way he shared my morals, values, and principles, and always communicated open and honestly. The one thing we seemed to be missing was a lot of shared hobbies and interests, specifically that I'm very political and he's completely uninterested, but at least we have the same ideology. He ended up saying he held back his opinions and was afraid to tell me things he thought may be deal breakers, but we don't actually have the same ideology. My stomach dropped. This means he's been lying for 6 months. Every quiz or question about how comfortable and honest he can be was a lie. Those shared morals, values, and principles don't truly exist. Not only is the honesty gone, but he intentionally left out his views to manipulate me into liking him despite things he knew I wouldn't tolerate. I'm very strong in my convictions. I work in government, and I'm the kind of person who stands up for what I believe, and I'm not afraid to, politely and respectfully, debate a worldview I find immoral. Not only does he not share many of my views, but he still says he's not really interested in government/world events and not comfortable discussing them at all. I feel like at the very least, if you're going to claim a specific stance, you should be researched and informed and willing to debate and defend that belief. He doesn't read or watch any news, knows nothing about policy, and still claims a worldview that I have zero respect for. He still hasn't said much about his beliefs other than that there are things he disagrees with me on and chose not to say. It's even more shocking because his family regularly says things that align with my beliefs. I'm also wondering how he could possibly like me as much as he says he does when I love talking about and debating worldviews and he hates it? And he doesn't agree with how I see the world. Comment. It is in fact the worst excuse, because it says that they feel like lying to manipulate your choices is perfectly acceptable. It's the most self-centered reason to lie. The dude lied to her for 6 months, intentionally deceiving her to get her to love him. Their entire relationship is just some kind of lie. None of it was real. It was just performance art he could do to catch up. He figured once he had her trapped he could reveal his real self and she'd be stuck with him. I think the crux of the issue here is that you view your political beliefs as integral to your values, morals, and who you are as a person. He views political beliefs as pretty separate to who he is and not that important to his personal values. Using the word politics to mean both things is contributing to the disconnect. If the political views you're talking about are things like capital gains tax rates, infrastructure investments, and legalizing drugs, well, those are things that you don't necessarily need to agree on, and a relationship could definitely survive through those differences. But if what you're talking about are beliefs like women should have control over their own bodies, LGBTQ people should be allowed to exist and thrive, everyone in the country deserves access to healthcare, housing, and education regardless of their immigration status or tax bracket, those are more than just politics. Those are core values which also have political implications. I think it's clear that you and he don't share the same values, and you won't be able to forgive his lies to you about them. I think you should look for a partner who more closely aligns with your morals. And I think you do yourself a disservice using the words politics and values interchangeably. Lots of people aren't that engaged in politics and aren't that well informed, which isn't necessarily bad. But we all should be committed to our own basic core values, or at least open and willing to develop them. Those are what you should really pay attention to in a partner. I agree, but I would say drug laws belong in the important category. Being against legalization of weed is an absolute deal breaker for me and many. No, I'm not a pothead, and yes, I know very well pot can be addictive. But keeping it illegal is very class and racially targeted, plus puts a ton of non-violent people in jail, which is a horrifying system. Ignorance of the drugs laws I could forgive, but a staunch the best way to deal with addicts is jail is 100% a deal breaker and should be important to people. All of this. Please end it. I have a family member who often says she felt duped by her husband because after having kids he ended up becoming much more conservative and religious, and now she's got kids, so leaving is more complicated. Also, as the child of parents who disagree politically, although my mom is more moderate than I am, Dad is total opposite end of the spectrum, it also really sucks to have a parent who thinks we should agree to disagree, whereas I can't agree to disagree because my political beliefs are based on my values, and I can't respect or understand how he can have his opinions if he shares my values. Therefore, I don't believe we share values and I can't agree to disagree on that. That's what I'm thinking when she brought up, they share religious beliefs, and she and his family believe the same. Everyone is assuming that because UP is a woman, they have to be liberal. My state, it wasn't men who took our abortion rights away, it was the women in power who wrote the bill and stood behind it. Women can be against their own. Not all women are about women's rights. Lying is a bad thing. Lying about what you believe in because you know the person you really like won't date you is an act of desperation. Some people can forgive that and some people can't. No universal right or wrong answer there, only what is right for you. He clearly hopes you can forgive him and see his other qualities. As far as can two people with incompatible core values, political or otherwise, have a healthy and happy relationship, happy marriage, and raise kids together? Yes, but it requires both people to acknowledge the difference and respect the other person's right to believe and practice as they want. Debating each other would very rarely be part of that. Politics and religion are usually emotionally held beliefs, they aren't logical to most people. You will rarely change someone's mind with a debate, and debating them almost always comes across as an attack instead of an intellectual discussion. And attacks degrade really fast into awful fights. You have to be willing to agree to disagree and let the other person follow their own path. Based on how you have described things, he is able to do that, but you aren't. I don't see a future in this relationship. Next story 2. I am noticing things around the house. My girlfriend denies involvement. I have had a few things happen around the recently that seem odd. The only person in my house other than my daughter would be my girlfriend. We have been together a bit over 3 years. Bit of backstory, my GF is jealous of the attention my daughter gets. Keep in mind she, daughter, is only here every other week. Usually when my daughter is here, my GF doesn't actually come by. Maybe 2 nights those weeks at most. She is usually here every day the week my daughter isn't here. GF has a son as well. Should also mention my GF is super self-conscious about my kid's mom. You'll always have that connection with her, our daughter, but doesn't consider what I am going through with her mother, litigation, or what was going in before, or even during our relationship. Doesn't consider the same thing could be said about her kid's father. Also that my ex is in her own long-term relationship. First thing that happened was a Lego set I got for my daughter just disappeared. We didn't get to it right away, but I put it up in her room in the bag we got from the store. Go to get 2 weeks after it was acquired and it's gone. Bag is still in the location where I left it. The second thing. Shoes were brought, by my daughter, over from my daughter's mother's place. She wore a different set of shoes the next day. However, the following day, 2 days later, the shoes were missing. Fast forward 2 months and I am going through my closet looking for something unrelated. I pick up a random shoe box to move it and it's heavy. Thinking it's weird, I open it up and guess what? The missing shoes were inside. Third thing that happened. I had an old friend follow me about 6 months back on a social media platform. I follow back, but we never actually talked, no posts were liked, etc. About a month or two later I notice what appears to me being blocked by this person. It's whatever and I move on. Fast forward to today, I go into my profile's block list and there they are. In all of these instances, since she, my GF, is the only one at the house outside of my daughter. I ask her about it, I don't accuse, I just ask. The first two she said no, so I just accept her answer. However, she did get defensive. Maybe it was my daughter, I asked her as well. The Lego set is still missing. Now when I noticed the person blocked, I asked about it. No one has access to my socials unless they have my phone or a PC of mine. I'm only hang out with my GF, daughter, and parents. So in my eyes she is the only logical conclusion. However, when I asked I didn't cast blame. Simple question, not a you did this. She got defensive, accused me of blaming her, left, and basically broke up with me over text. First two incidents weren't brought up when I asked about the third. As mentioned, no one is at my house other than these two, not even my parents. Either my daughter lost the set, which isn't small, and didn't tell me the truth and put her shoes in the shoes box in my closet. Which wouldn't be behavior experienced before. And the block is just something random. Someone has come into my house and moved these things. The block is something random. Or it was my GF. If more information is needed, let me know. I am looking for outside perspectives. Is my thinking off in coming to the conclusion these were my GF's doing? Comment. Sounds like you need to have one less girlfriend in your life. Even if she's not the one doing these things, but let's face it, she probably is. She's still behaving like someone who doesn't respect you and definitely doesn't respect your daughter. She blames you for having a co-parenting relationship with your daughter's mother. She holds you to standards regarding that relationship that she doesn't hold herself to. She completely avoids your daughter in the limited amount of time she is there. What is the end game with this relationship? You've been together for 3 years, maybe you're looking for a relationship set up like this, but maybe you're looking for a typical long-term relationship where you eventually live together, and in this case be involved in the raising of children together. How is that going to work when she doubts you, avoids your daughter like the plague, and is almost certainly trying to sabotage your relationship with your daughter by making her things disappear? It sounds like you're dealing with a habitual liar. What if she doesn't have custody of her kid? That would pretty much explain everything. Have you ever seen him? A picture? Anything? It's something fishy going on and things aren't adding up. Be careful. Why are you even with this woman? How are you even supposed to have a long-term relationship with her when she doesn't even want to be around your daughter? That's not a healthy familial relationship for your daughter either, having a mother figure who doesn't like her, doesn't want to interact with her or be around her. It will just confuse her. It also sounds like this woman is just full of excuses. Full of reasons why she can't do this or doesn't want to do that or why this can't happen, etc. There is definitely something going on there. I think it's for the better that she broke up with you. I would be changing the locks and packing up her stuff. Find a woman who actually wants to create a real life with you. Become an actual family. Seems like she doesn't like or want kids. Why would you continue a relationship with someone who not only openly is jealous and dislikes your child, but also ignores her own child? There is no future with this woman. If you were to progress, how would that work? Do you think your child would feel alienated and ignored by your so? As someone who was a single parent for a long time, it is always a mistake to have early relationships around children. Of course people need to be good with and get along with your kids, but that shouldn't be the initial draw. I've been married 10 years now and it was months before my husband was allowed to meet my kids, only after I thought things were headed somewhere. Obviously this isn't a blueprint for everyone, but I think when people use children to get closer to you, it can be manipulative and also possibly unsafe for the kids. To be trusting of a new adult who may not deserve that.